It was from like the environmental agency. It was like dog owners, please do not let your dogs off leash. This is a reserved area and so on and so forth.
Uh-huh.
And then underneath it said dogs, woof 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 woof.
I did see that. Yeah, it's just
That's pretty good.
this is the dumbest
Like-
things.
Doubling the size of the sign for a fucking stupid joke, but I'm here for it every time.
I mean, as long as it gets the point across.
No.
Not for the dog, for the people.
And
No.
also woof woof.
Go away. Go back to sleep on the couch. You were asleep on the couch, and he hits the live button, and now you want to get involved.
Meow. Meow.
Yeah.
I need to
Time
scream.
shine, yo.
Okay.
This
Are you
cat
guys-
is going to be the death of me?
Ready to get started.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpear
Hi.
and the Nymph.
Bringing the energy today. Woo!
That's right. Bring your energy and your dollars over to patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones and numbers. I
That's
guess.
right. Tell your rich friends. It's if you're listening to the show, $5 a month is the recommended tier. If you're not listening to the show and you're super rich, it's like $2,000 a month. Don't tell them though that it's really $5. We need the money.
Excuse me. I think you need to bump that number considerably higher if you want all of the things we want to do to get off the ground.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, Moon really needs a computer, so like let's start it at that tier and then
Based
So
on
we can start
today's
doing-
performance, yes.
We can start doing personal messages where, hey, if you want us to be
That's
your
right.
voicemail recording.
That's right.
Hey, if you want fun for a $5, we got an idea for you.
That's right. That's right. I gotta sign up for Cameo here. Anyways, Patreon. You get early access, exclusive, uncensored audio, cool shows. We release like 10 or something episodes every month. We release at least 2 episodes a week at this point. That's over there. You get exclusive stuff like The Outcast, which is just all the stuff we talk about that's usually not video games before we go live. Unlike the video version you're hopefully watching right now, where Moon's cat is just standing on him for seemingly, I guess, cat reasons. You also get early access to We Roguelike It. Sure, Moon and I are going through as many roguelikes as I can rope him into playing. Get 2-month early access to Critical Misses, where Moon and I are catching up on media hits we missed. We're going through season 20 right now, which is got some pretty surprising ups and downs here. As you can get that early.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. And you get access to the exclusive Watchcast, The Wayward Sons, where Moon and Imp are watching through the Supernatural TV show. That is a Patreon exclusive. I gotta get my award game show. Anyways,
Yes,
I think
you do need to get that voice proper.
yeah, as you can tell, I'm firing in all cylinders today. But you can fire in all cylinders over to patreon.com/E1M1.
Stop one of ones and numbers. Stop headbutting my microphone, gas.
Just pushing your mic so hard. My goodness. All right, Moon and Louise, what have you been playing this past week?
We have been playing the My Cat is a Nightmare game, first and foremost, who is currently, I'm not kidding, I could feel her purrs through my hand. Like,
She is
she's that
awfully
happy
cute.
right now.
That's right.
So thank you for ruining the start of the show, Louise. Again, you hear the word live
Yeah,
somehow.
usually
and
it's me. I
show up.
appreciate you taking over for it, Louise.
Anyway, I've only really let's talk about this. I've only really been playing a couple of things.
Okay.
2 main things. I do want to mention Game Club records soon, and this is
Thank
a
you.
shout out warning for both you and Newsom and anybody else who's interested. This month's Game Club is Ghostwire Tokyo.
Correct.
If you are planning on playing it with us, start now. Start fast.
That's right.
Because there's a lot more to that game than I was expecting there to be.
Yep.
And if you if, like me, you find yourself loading it up and then having issues with the controls, I did post in the Discord channel what my personal settings for the controls are, which helped it feel a lot more like an actual game and less like, swimming through Vaseline, which is what it felt like originally.
Right. Also, that game is on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, so you probably already own it in some fashion. So come along with play with us. Got about 2 weeks before we record that, so got plenty of time.
Yes,
maybe.
You say that, but it's not like it's a
potential. It's not a 2-hour
30 to 40-hour video game that I literally only have an hour a night to play games with. Boston,
right?
Big ruiner of worlds. Boston, destroyer.
Hey, I didn't pick this one. Can't
blame me. 100% did.
No, that wasn't me. I plead the fifth. My lawyers advised that I plead the video game fifth.
Was this another one of those quote-unquote random generators? Pickers,
no, we don't really do random anymore. It's just a lot of us being like, "Oh, let's pull up the Game Pass list. Here we go. What's good?"
Yeah, it's also
what doesn't seem like it's gonna suck.
Yep.
No, dude, we don't even care about if it's gonna suck. It's about what we have time for.
At that point in time, it's like how bad are we willing to deal with right now?
Yeah. How much do we want to ruin Boston's life? Stardew Valley it is. Okay.
That's right. Yep. That's me.
That was still one of my favorite episodes of Game Club was, hey, Boston, you've been avoiding this. Now you have to play it.
That's right. It's a reverse intervention. You need to have this problem.
AKA the first taste is free.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Other than that, I really only played 2 things, and that's Marvel Snap. Because of course it is, because it's Marble Snap and I have a problem. They seem to have balanced the game to the point now, maybe a couple of strongs a little overly strong still. Enchantress, I'm looking at you. You should not be a 4/6. I love it when I talk about this game because it's like I'm speaking Egyptian and everybody else is like, what does a 4/6 mean? Like, what does this mean?
Man, if you don't know, don't worry about it. It's better if you don't know.
Yeah, if you don't know. Yeah. So, ironically
attack
enough,
6 cost 4? Or is it the other way around?
That's exactly what it is. So, the ironic thing about this is I've been trying to get a friend of the show, Brainy, to play this game for a while because he is the guy who I know who loves card games. And he was listening to me talk about it on the show a couple of weeks ago about how, like, I'm not sure how long I'll be in it still because as soon as the variety gets too much, that's when I might be out because I don't have the mental capacity for the many, many, many variations of math needed.
Oh, sure.
And his response was, yeah, that's how I feel about card games. So I'm definitely not starting this one. But yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I do think a couple of cards need to be nerfed, but the meta seems to have broken in such a way that no deck is overpowering the others. Like towards the end of last season, it was the Darkhawk Devil Dinosaur deck. That seems to have balanced itself down a little bit now, thanks to the Enchantress buff, which is probably too high of a buff. The Shuri problem seems to have been solved, so that's great. The only
yes, the Shuri problem.
Yes, the Shuri problem, aka not wanting to get a vaccine. That's the Shuri problem.
Right.
Hey-o!
Hey. It's a little too real life. Gosh.
I know. I feel bad now, but I think that's appropriately deserved shade thrown in that direction.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, that seems to be fine. I think the only problem we have at the moment in the meta still is Galactus. Because Galactus seems to be one of the most powerful decks and also one of the most toxic decks where, like, you can kind of occasionally see it coming, but it's one of those decks where it's just like, really? You're leaving one lane open? This is Galactus, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, it is Galactus.
Oh, I'm not going to do anything. Wink, 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 wink.
So, like, I've got a couple of variations of decks that I use to try and counter Galactus. One of them has Debris, which fills up a lane, which means that Galactus can't be used.
Smart.
It's great when you do that, by the way. Like, when you know someone's about to drop a Galactus and you throw a Debris on the field and block all of those lanes,
You could just feel the pained sigh from the other side of the screen of just like, okay.
100%, because it's happened to me. So,
right.
It's like you snap, you drop the debris, you fill the lanes, and then immediately they retreat. And it's like, yeah, that's right, I thought so. Your other option there is to super scroll them, which means that you get Null's ongoing ability, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So there is counters to it, but it's just... This is such a debag deck, because it's just like all of the thought and planning you have done is gone, because now all that matters is that one location, and that's it. Like nothing else seems to matter anymore. So I'm curious if they managed to handle that or not, but who knows. It is worth saying, after a week, the new season's been in for a week. After a week of playing, I've gone from 50 to 54.
All right, here we go.
Look at you
That's
go.
how much the meta seems to have shifted, where it's like I can't consistently get wins. It's like wins, losses, wins, losses. Basically, what I'm saying is I'm bad at games.
Right.
And don't think through before I make a decision, so I end up suffering the problems of it. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Last time that I talked about it like this, I finished the show, played it the rest of the evening, and went from like 50 to 80. So fingers crossed, I'll be 80 by the end of tonight.
Send our good energy your way.
Spoiler alert, I won't be, because today I've got too many chores to do, because being a grown-up sucks.
Yeah.
Honestly, other than Ghostwire Tokyo, the current roguelike game, the only other thing I've been playing, and not enough of, because I played it for like 2 hours, is Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
How's the Mantis doing for you, Nim?
It's fine now.
Okay. I just got to that point.
I was gonna say, I am way past you. I looked at our hour count because I had figured it was not a great week for me either. So I was like, okay, I at least need to be within the range that Moon is currently at. And yesterday I looked at our hour counts, and you were what, at 8 hours or something like that?
If that, yes.
Yeah, and I'm almost at 20.
Oh boy. All right.
And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm fine.
I made the mistake of starting the Game Club game, because I thought, I'm not going to do what I always do and wait until the week before we record and then play 70 hours of something in a week.
Right.
And then I realized that I have opinions and thoughts on that game that we'll get into in the episode. Check out later this month, folks.
That's right.
So, how do you talk about this game? What did you think about the thing that happened, the reveal about the thing that happened when you were heading towards the Forest Gateway?
You mean about like the people you meet, or
about the
people
spoilers?
You meet and the origins of the people you meet? Because that is my jam. I love this kind of stuff where it's
I like
stuff.
That they pulled someone from the first game that you don't actually meet in the first game, and for all intents and purposes, I thought was dead until they showed up, and I was like, "Oh, that is great." The other that you meet, took me a minute.
You know.
Yeah, it took me a minute, and I like their style. And I like what they did. Did you actually do the fight with them?
If you're talking about the...
I'm really enjoying this.
Hair. Dude with the long white hair.
Yes, the awakening sequence.
Yes.
I literally just finished that, like, today.
Yeah, that fight was great. And I'm going to tell you that you fight them again later, and it's even better.
Who would have thought that you fight the person who seems like he might be the villain of the game later on as well?
Yeah, and it was a pretty fast transition there. I don't want to say any more about that, but yeah,
you can't talk about the source of the people, because that's a giant spoiler in of itself, and it's a great spoiler as well. So definitely not going to talk about that section. You can't talk about the specifics of what they're doing, because that's a huge, massive spoiler too. I get the feeling I know the track that the game is going to take now, because I'm assuming from this point on, because I haven't gone to the next planet yet and found the person. I haven't done that, but I know that where they are, so I need to go and do that. Don't eat the wall that's on my desk, Louise. Like, please. So I haven't done that yet. I'm still on that first planet, but I'm about to leave / debating to do some exploring. But that whole sequence, that whole reveal, it's like, okay, so this is probably going to be a Zelda thing, where I have to get more beams of into the sky to operate, so I can do the thing to go to the place. Because eventually, that's where the game is going to end. I'm assuming is the place that they talk about a lot.
The second place, probably, yes. Not the place with the beam.
Yes, the place the beam is leading to.
The place that the beam is leading to, you end up going to pretty soon. So,
cool.
But
cool.
I will say, having the battle droids back is still fantastic. Having pretty much all, I came across. Oh my god, the roller droids starts with the D. What do they call them?
Droidekas.
Yeah, droidekas. I keep thinking Deku.
How? I can't remember.
I'm very impressed.
People's birthdays, but I remember the name of the robots from the prequel trilogy, which isn't that great.
Right.
Because you use it more often.
That's right. Talk to your droideca every day.
Those do eventually show up, and they are as much of a pain to fight as they are in any other game, and as they should be.
Yeah, I'm assuming they also still have that sick sound effects when they fire.
Oh, yeah, when they shoot off, and it's like
really heavy.
Pow, pow.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Star Wars, but they do sound design right.
Yep.
Dude, yeah. Especially all the voice acting in this game is really good, too. Especially with the aliens and things wearing masks. Yeah.
It's all Plo Kooned appropriately, where they've all got that like slight hollow thing. Also, that was a stupid reference to make too, but Plo Koon is a legend. So,
and he wears a mask. So...
I don't know how you say his name.
I've heard it both ways. No one seems to care.
Plo's Bros. That's all I've got to say. I'm a member.
I do have another lightsaber stance unlocked that I won't talk to you about until you do it, and I've been using that pretty exclusively now. Just because it feels more in line with Dark Souls. So I've got, a heft to what I'm doing. And now that's how I'm used to playing, is with like two-handed weapons pretty much. This has got that same kind of heft to it. So I'm like, all right, yep, this is what I'm using now. And then I still use my my dual blades for like crowd control, because that thing is just him hurling around and doing basically a hurricane move every couple seconds just saves your butt all the time.
Still, my favorite thing about the dual-bladed lightsaber, aka the Darth Maul, if you will, my favorite thing about that one is that when you time your block correct to reflect blaster bolts back, if you just keep holding the button, he bounces them all back in a really quick succession. So it's just him going and all of the bullets going back. It's fantastic.
It's really awesome watching him do it, especially with like the heavy machine guns, because that's when I'll switch over, is when the heavy or like the Deku droids. Whenever I have to face one of those, I will switch over to the duels, because he does reflect pretty much everything back faster. You just have to make sure your stamina gauge is up for it, because it drains real fast with that amount of bolts coming your way. So
yeah. I like some of the stuff they've added in, I both like and don't like. Like on the dual wielding option, I love the fact that if you keep hold of Y, he goes into like a force stance and then automatically parries stuff. Like, I think that is a cool thing, and the fact that it costs force is obviously great too, because force is a meter. That's how many midichlorians you have in your blood and how quickly it drains, essentially. It's like oxygenation, except for force.
It's just like when you exercise, you can only run so far.
That's right.
Lactic force is building up in your system, so you gotta, relax and get rid of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the game still looks beautiful. I haven't even been to like many planets. I've been to 2. I mean, to Coruscant and this planet, and that's it so far. And the game is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I will say, last week I was talking about how I was having issues with like the vertical tearing, the screen tearing. I don't have it in performance mode anymore. I put it in quality mode. Haven't had an issue.
Oh, nice.
And I only did that because Moon didn't seem to be having the same issues that I was having. So I was like, oh, maybe performance is acting weird. But yeah, it's you notice it like right off, just switching that little box back and forth. Yeah, you see it like as soon as you do it. So I've been playing in quality mode. I wonder
if quality has VSync on.
Probably.
I don't know.
It just it looks so good. Like it just genuinely does. I can't help but feel like they took lessons from Breath of the Wild with this game a lot, because there is the slight open world nature of it. There's the very minimal directions of where you are supposed to be going. There's obviously the beacons that you can put down and see on the holo map and everything else. And then I totally did a what are they called? A shrine. I did a shrine for some reason. I was going to
bring that up too. It's like there are shrines in this game, like straight up blue aura shrines in this game.
It's like, okay, I guess I'm just doing a Breath of the Wild shrine in the middle of my Zelda game now, but that's my Jedi game, I should say.
I like that there's more games that are doing this kind of like open hub area, then you go to another sort of semi-open hub thing, kind of like the two most recent God of War games did. I like that more games are doing that, where it's like, we're not giving you a giant open world thing, but we're giving you a number of large areas where you're rewarded for kind of poking into the corners and saying like, oh, that looks like a cave, let's go in there. Whoops, here's a whole like mini dungeon, and I get a reward at the end. I really like that more games are doing that.
I can't tell you how many times with this game I have gotten into a location that I was supposed to be in for story, and then I've had to stand there for a couple minutes and be like, okay, where am I supposed to go now?
Yeah.
Because there's a thing off in the distance that looks like I might be... Nope, that's not a thing I can do. There's another thing over here. Nope, that's too far down. I can't jump down to that. And then you turn around and realize, oh, these two giant pipes that were sitting there, there's a gap in between them, and you should have walked through them.
Yep.
Oh, sure.
Shimmy on through the gap.
Oh, yeah. And I think one thing one major gripe that I have with this game is I think it would benefit from having a compass at the top. And nothing extravagant, but just like when you talking about how you can put points down on the map, there have been several times I've gotten turned around in some locations and then pull up the map and realize I've been heading in the wrong direction this entire time. So now I got to turn around and run back. And
I'm curious if because I know in the accessibility options they do have essentially a wayfinder ability in there, which will point you in a direction. So I'm curious if that is, you can waypoint your map and that points you in that direction, like an idiot line thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because even just like a brief idiot line where it doesn't show you the entire line, but just an indication of, hey, maybe this way,
Right.
Yeah,
northish.
And it's not like they don't have an in-universe, in-game reason to be able to show such things. I mean, if only there was some force that could guide your direction,
or maybe
some
a droid
hollow technology.
Exactly, that could project a hologram of some sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really like, this is exactly what I wanted, and what I was talking about with the first game when I had beaten it. It's like, I don't need anything special. I just want them to add fast travel and then make a second game, and that's pretty much what they've done. Because you start out, even with like being underwater, I noticed that it's like, hey, I don't have like an oxygen meter or anything. It's because you still have your rebreather from the first game.
Rebreather, yeah,
that's great.
And just small little things like that, and they're building on top of it, where you're getting all these other skills. That the things that you were saying that were glowing red, I'm going to tell you right now, that's nothing to do with the dark side of the Force. And honestly, though, playing it, even where you're at now, I was feeling that would be kind of weird if they went in that direction right now. Like, there would have to be some major jacked up thing to happen for Cal to like even flirt with the dark side, I feel like, right now. The way that they've made his character.
I mean, that is true, but he is also friends with the Night Sister, who are the Force Witches of Dathomir. So,
but I
come
mean,
on.
things can change.
I
really
really thought
love
Anakin was a good guy for the longest time.
That's right.
And then it turns out he was all along.
Mm-hmm. He was. He brought balance to the Force by killing all of the Jedi.
He was the Jedi we needed all along.
That's right.
There's something else I was going to say, but now I can't remember what it was.
Did you do any gardening?
I unlocked the garden.
Okay.
That seems like the most stupid thing on the face of the planet, but sure.
Yeah.
Like it feels like something that's just been thrown in there as a look. We did seeds in the first game, and now we're doing seeds again. Except it's like hexagonal shaped planting crap.
I was really hoping that when you unlocked the person for that area, that you could just give them the seeds and they would just start planting. They don't. You still have to do the planting.
I don't know. I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about it for now. I wish it wasn't 135 gigs. Like,
yeah,
like that's bad. I think you said it best though. Like the funny thing is like it's been a long time since I've played a Dark Soulsian kind of game. Monster Hunter doesn't count. That's its own kind of disturbed. So it's been a long time since I've played this kind of game, and Wanted Dead had me fearing for my ability to play video games. And at the same time, like the Game Club game is a first-person, quote-unquote, shooter that's like relatively fast-paced. So like these two genres that I haven't played in years, it feels like, and suddenly I've got one of each essentially that I can play at the same time. It's like, cool, this is kind of exactly what I needed. A nice palate cleanse from everything else I was doing at the time.
And it's just been really enjoyable to play.
It's nice to play a game where you're like, it's just good. It's just a good game.
All I want to do is play the game, and I'm trying to wean myself off of it, because I feel like I'm getting close to that point of, okay, maybe this is a little too much. So I'm trying to slow down my consumption of it, because I want there to be more. Just mentally, I'm not available for there to be more.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, have you checked out the Hollow game yet?
No.
Dude.
I haven't done a whole bunch of stuff in this game.
They have it, I love this.
Is it Blitzball? Can I
No.
Dang it.
So it's the Hollow chessboard from Star Wars.
That's great.
Okay.
I love it.
The best part is, and I think I've only seen this in like a handful of other games, like maybe 2 or 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. Your bestiary, when you kill something and scan it, that's what you're using on the Hollow board.
That's cool.
So you're incentivized really to fill out your bestiary so that you have more powerful characters. And what happens is you start out, and I think there's like 5 different people that you can challenge, and they all have different difficulties associated with them. And once you beat them, you get items for it. They do it in waves. The first wave, you have like 6 points. So then you go through your bestiary and you're looking for like, okay, everything is associated with a point value. Obviously, like the legendary thing that I've killed earlier is like 20 points.
Yeah.
So that's not going out right now, but that would clear a field. So what you can do is you can send out 1 unit that's like the full 6 points. You can send out 2 units that are 3, so on and so forth, because you've got values of 1 to like 20. Or if you have, let's say you send out like one that's a 3 and you win that first round, those other 3 points carry over onto your next one, which has a higher point value for that wave.
So it goes from like a 6 to a 9 cap, and you carry the 3 over as well.
Yeah. So you're kind of gambling to see, okay, can my rocket stormtrooper beat like these 2 melee stormtroopers? Yes, they can. So now I have this other one. This other guy's got like a Magna Guard, and I'm like, okay, I've got like a DX battle droid and like a BD2 that I'm having it fight. And they actually simulate on the board, so you're watching them. There's no inputs on your end. You're just picking what they're fighting, and they just fight.
Wait, so they put Galaxy of Heroes in the Galaxy of Heroes game.
With a little bit of battle chess in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nice, because that was my thing, because when I got the mission for that forever. Like, I found the people and I've had the missions like, oh, play your first Halo game. I was like, I don't want to play like a side game right now. I just want to play the game. I don't want to play a card game or chess game or whatever. So then when I finally checked it out, it was like, oh, okay, you know, I get to pick mine. All right, this is cool. And then, yeah, the battle just auto plays. Your group of things are on one side, their group of things are on the other side. And if they're melee, they run to each other. And if they're ranged, they stay away and shoot at each other. And like they have like their full skill sets that you fight them with in the game and stuff. So like stormtroopers are throwing grenades and stuff like that. And it's been fun to watch.
It sounds like Triple Triad as well. So I will happily take my Triple Triad and best Final Fantasy game, best Final Fantasy mini game. Don't at me. That is the truth.
But I mean, it gives me that extra incentive for, it's like, okay, now I want to fill out my bestiary because I want to see what kind of combos or, you know, groups I can make on this Hollow board thing and see what they come up with as well. And just let them, it's like that stupid, like, what is it, 1 versus 1,000 or whatever, where it's like, oh, what does, you know, a Chuck Norris versus 1,000 Jedi fight look like? That's kind of what this is. What does my melee stormtrooper against, like, Darth Vader look like? I would assume not very well.
Accurate Star Wars battle simulator.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting thing that I found. And also, have you found? I think his name is Scuba, the fishing guy. Oh man, you need to find him. I just
got the mission to find him.
Okay, you need to find him and you need to listen to his stories, because every time he catches a fish, he will tell you a story.
Oh jeez.
And they're great.
Okay. Okay. Point taken.
He has like the full-on like pirate talk for a fisherman.
Great.
Of course.
And he uses like nautical terms just off the cuff all the time. So
great. Fantastic. But yeah, that we really can't talk about it without spoiling a whole bunch of stuff. So
yeah,
that's pretty much all I've been playing. Mostly the GameCube game, if I'm honest. Like, because
ditto.
Thoughts and things with that game, like. But yeah, that's all I've been playing. Nimp, tell me about your second and final game. Spoiler alert, we talked about this at the start of the show.
Oh, my second game, which Boston was also playing, so we can bookend this, is Redfall.
This is also my only game because I have been playing the Game Club and We Roguelike It games a lot this week.
So Angel Eye and myself played a little bit Tuesday night of this, and then his router broke. Turns out a APS was being installed, a battery backup was being installed, and he was not aware, and so he lost his router connection midway through the game. So we picked it back up Saturday night.
I bet you that sucked.
Heyo, got him.
So we picked it back up Saturday night. The game is, it's a game. It turns on and it works. Just not in the ways that you expect it to.
Yeah, I have played this solo for probably about 5, maybe 6 hours, and I find myself underwhelmed, but not nearly as, you'll be surprised, not nearly as angry and out for blood as the rest of the internet seems to be. That wasn't a pun. The thing about this game is I don't mean this in a mean way. I want to know what happened to Redfall, because it's not, I think its worst sin is it's pretty boring.
Yeah, that was pretty much what we came to. It's just a boring game. Yeah, it doesn't do anything especially well. It doesn't do anything offensive. It's just, it exists.
And it certainly doesn't feel like an Arcane game. The shooting is fine. The enemy AI is really bad.
Yeah.
It is largely like human enemies that are kind of running away from you consistently or running straight at you, or vampires that are running straight at you. The thing that I'm really missing from this game, from your kind of standard Arcane thing, is I really wanted this to be that open world version of, all right, you have a mission in this building, how are you going to get in there? There's 5 different ways to do it. And you don't get that here. If you do get it,
even though it does give you a tutorial saying, "Hey, there are 3 ways to do this thing" in the very beginning, and it's
right.
like the most reasonable thing is just to run in there, kick the door, and then blow everybody up.
Well, yeah, because like enemies are already shooting at you, so like I'm gonna just go in the front door, guns blazing. Like there's really only 2 ways you can do it. Is like go in the front door and shoot everybody. There's probably only 4 guys in there, so it's gonna be pretty easy. Or use a lockpick to open up the back door, and then shoot all the enemies in the back. So like there's no real way to avoid any of that.
Do you think that this is because it's open world? Because I think part of the draw of the team who made these games that I've always loved is, yes, Prey, Dishonored, these are all games which have that multiple approach thing, but they are also super linear, generally speaking. Like it is a small, tightly contained area usually, which gives them the opportunity to design it around that kind of thing.
Well, a lot of these locations are, you're going to go get a mission and you need to go to this specific large building in this town that is right next to you. So it still feels
your
like
objective is in the building. So
so it still kind of feels like, I'm not a game developer, so but it still feels like there's an opportunity there to have a more crafted experience when you're dealing with your objective is in this building that you're gonna kind of not go to otherwise. So I don't know if I don't think the open world nature of it really seems like it's the culprit in a way that I kind of wasn't expecting. So
yeah, because there's also like the character that I picked. I'm at the point now, I've unlocked all of their abilities, and I have a teleporter that I can throw.
Which character did you pick? We should have talked about that.
I forget what the dude's name, but he's like the internet dude.
Okay, I picked the lady.
The internet.
He's like a blogger or
he's
something.
Not too far off. There's like the lady with the umbrella who's like the lady with student debt. I picked the woman who has the robot. She's like the support class. I'm enjoying her so far, except for a lot of the story stuff for her.
I feel like they do a really bad job of explaining to you the differences, the skill sets, and the differences between the 4 characters.
Yeah, because they're like, this lady has an umbrella, and I'm like, okay, so
an umbrella. The lady that you're playing as, the big draw for her was she can throw C4, and I'm like, that seems like a thing that everyone should be able to do. Does
everyone not get grenades?
Yeah.
Like
which apparently we don't. I haven't found any grenades in the game, so
yeah, I unlocked grenades pretty early. But like, I like her little robot because it like hunkers down and its tail wags and it does this loud noise, and like the tail wag has like an exclamation mark in it. So it does like a siren thing of like, hey, everybody, come attack me. Yeah, and that's cool. Like, I'm not crazy about her character because her character so far boils down to, I used to help a lot of people and I speak Spanish. And it's like, okay, cool, but like, why are you in Redfall? Like, the game starts off actually fairly strong because the story is like, oh, these doctors came to town and they were like, hey man, it's so weird. Everybody in this town has like a problem with their blood. You should probably, we should probably handle that. You can just give us a little bit of your blood. Whoops, they're vampires. And then you wake up after getting attacked by a vampire and you climb out of this ship and there's a giant wave frozen in time that is right next to the ship. It looks cool as hell, and they've blacked out the sun.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
which not really. Cool. They just did an eclipse, but it still looks like daytime.
Yeah, like there's still some daytime stuff. It's not all nighttime, which probably would have made more sense. But
the water stuff is really cool because you'll see that like going through different parts of like the island that you're on. You'll just see random waves just hoisted up as the main wall for why you can't get out of there. And Angel, I and myself were talking about it. It's like, man, that looks really cool, and that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And so far, that is the only cool idea that this game has had.
Yeah, the main gameplay loop of it really is, hey, go to find a safe house, and in the safe house you'll be able to grab a mission, do 2 or 3 of those. Hey, you found one of the vampires. Clear out 3 of those. Hey, you found the big vampire. And then kind of rinse and repeat. And so far, the missions that I've been doing in the safe houses aren't super exciting.
We haven't even been doing them. We unlocked one safe house. We did one safe house mission, and we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is just. I also have to say I've played this on both PC and my Series X. On Series X, it is 30 frames, like they said. It's pretty stable, I have to say. Yeah. I haven't really run into any problems frame rate wise there. It does have a lot of motion blur, so you might want to go in and turn some of that down if you're not the craziest about motion blur. Over on PC, though, is a whole nother story. Performance is bad over there. I have a 3070 in my machine. I started off, it recommended me to start on epic graphics quality at the beginning. I was like, yeah, man, sure, I got a 3070, why not? That was a bad idea. Frame rate issues like crazy. So I eventually turned that down to medium, and I have since turned it down to low, and the number of multiple seconds that I have of 15 frames a second is pretty bad. The only time I have been in trouble, kind of difficulty-wise in this game, has been I'm fighting a couple of dudes and my frame rate is tanking for seemingly no reason, so I'm in bad shape.
Yeah, the only issue we've had is just the controls, because the sensitivity for the console, there's like 3 options. There's and they all suck. None of them are good.
Yep. The dead zone is huge on the controls for this. It's driving me nuts.
And I found out that the aim assist is like violently
it's very strong.
Yeah, like I had to fight it. There was a group of enemies. I was trying to shoot one that broke off from the group, and like I could not get the gun to turn away from the one that it had locked onto.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm trying to shoot the guy that's coming at me. And it's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
But I mean,
there are some things in the game that I do like. I feel like I'm the only one. I kind of like the cutscene style. It's this
like the freeze frame kind of thing.
Yeah, like this kind of freeze frame sort of voiceover kind of thing. I think it's cool. They do a really smart thing. So like most of these games, there's like a bajillion things you can pick up in the environment everywhere, and I really like if it's a thing you can pick up and eat, or like a health pack or something like that, you pick it up and you put it in your inventory. If it's a thing you can sell, you just pick it up and it gives you the money. Yeah, it's like, that was $50. Here you go. This is $75. That's $5. Like, I like that you don't have 400 things in your junk inventory that you go sell to the dude, the pregnant lady in the firehouse that sells you guns. It's just like, nah, man, you picked up like a bottle of bourbon. That was $50. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
And even on like a lot of the lesser, like if you find a piece of fruit or whatever and you pick that up, it just automatically heals you. Yep. And if you're at full health, you just pick it up and that's it. You don't keep it in your inventory or anything.
Yeah, it's nice to have that stuff.
It respawns areas pretty consistent. Enemies and items pretty consistent. Like if you walk away, not even that far, I feel like, and turn back around and go back, like everything's respawned, which is kind of annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
When you've just cleared out an area and you're trying to do something.
Yeah.
But
I don't. So here's the hard part. Redfall isn't that great, but it's not nearly as bad as seemingly everybody on the internet is making it out to be. It's not this like unplayable disaster of a game that just doesn't work. Like, it's boring, and it doesn't really feel super rewarding to play consistently, but I don't think it's a bad game. Like, I'm probably not going to play much of it more right now. I'll wait until the 60 frames patch comes out on console, and I'll probably fire it back up then to kind of see how it runs and see how it's been. But I don't really see myself putting a lot of time into it otherwise.
Yeah, and the other crap thing, since I was playing co-op with Angel Eye, this is another game that can't do co-op because I didn't get any progress. Angel Eye got all the progress because he was hosting, which I knew going into it.
And the game does tell you on like the main menu of like, host is only going to get the progress. Yeah. It's like, why? Why
exactly.
are you doing this?
I don't understand why companies can't figure out co-op anymore. Like,
right.
We had it figured out, and they cop out in like that description saying, not everyone did like all the small side stuff or whatever. I'm like, fine,
right. Not all the quests aren't synchronous. It's like there's like 10 quests in this game. Don't give me that.
Yeah. And also, it's like, all right, fine. So I didn't do like the little hut thing in my own game, but I did it with him. Fine, don't count it. But like major quests, missions, whatever,
like story beats.
Yeah, I should get credit for it because I already have the rewards for doing it with him. I already have the experience for doing it. So it's like I already have everything. Just put the flag or the check mark next to completed on mine so that it comes through. It's just stupid. Yeah, but you keep items and stuff that you've gained and your experience and weapons.
Okay.
It's just story progress. You don't keep any of it. Anything that I've done in his game, I'm still at the second main mission of my game.
I mean, I guess I'm glad that they keep your items and stuff, because this technically is a looter shooter, so you are getting weapons that have levels and,
which kind of sucks.
Rarities and stuff. I don't think it's super necessary. This is one of the few games where I kind of wish they're like, you have a sniper rifle, assault rifle, 2 handguns, and a shotgun, and you can upgrade them, and you can, because there's a system in there where you can put new things on guns that you're already using, like a different type of stake, because of course you have to stake vampires through the heart, and like you can put
skins and stuff like that.
Skins, yeah. What was that, man?
Like I thought you meant the food. I thought you were gonna like get,
I wish,
barbecue steak, grilled steak.
One of the most frustrating parts of this game is trying to figure out which weapons have a stake attached to the front of them. Especially the first
way to kill a vampire.
Right, like, and eventually you get like a stake gun, or you get a UV gun that will kind of freeze them, and then you can shoot them, and that'll shatter them. But like.
The worst part about that, though, too, is your weapon can have a stake at the end of it, but if you still hit R3 to melee and the prompt isn't up saying to stake them, you still just melee them. You just punch them. That's it. You don't actually stake them, which is ridiculous. It's like that should just be the default attack since it's on there.
One of the most frustrating parts about the opening of this game is the first place you go is a fire station. It's essentially your central hub, and they're like, hey, thanks for saving us, but so we got a vampire trapped in the basement. Can you go take care of that for us real quick? Thanks. And you...
Really? They legitimately do the things in the basement thing?
Yep, and it's a vampire, and they give you... When you go downstairs, you get a shotgun when you go down, and I was like, shotgun only has like 4 shots. I'm not using that. I'm using my handgun that has like 75 shots, and it's been doing some pretty good work. But they didn't tell you that only the shotgun that you pick up has a stake at the end of it. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, why am I not killing? Why does a vampire keep coming back? Like, what the hell? This is a broken game. You just
that was the messed up thing, because for me, one of the crates, like when you get off the boat at the beginning, I happened to unlock and had a shotgun in it.
Okay.
And it had a stake on it. And that's what I ended up using to kill that vampire. And that was my thought was, okay, if I hadn't randomly unlocked this chest and if it hadn't randomly given me a shotgun with a stake on it, how was I supposed to kill that vampire?
Yeah.
Because I didn't see any other weapons, to use that had one.
I wonder if that's why it gave me a shotgun in the basement. I wonder if it's like, hey man, he needs this thing.
But I also know that within the first 15-20 minutes of the game, I had literally 6 of those stupid, centipede sidearms?
It's called something like that, yeah.
Yeah, where it's just your average 9mm that you pick up, and it's like a level 1 gray thing. And I had 6 of those stupid things. It's like I don't want or need these. They're all exactly the same gun. Give me something else.
Yeah, I think there's a good game in here somewhere, and I hope that Arcane can get the time to spend on it to give it a little bit more TLC. It probably should have been delayed, truthfully, to get the rest of it there, but it seems like that bus had left the station a while ago, especially with Starfall getting delayed. But I'm not sure that it coming out now in the state that it's coming out in was probably the right call for the studio or Game Pass or the platform or anything. Like, it's Microsoft is struggling to put out stuff that is really moving the needle, and I feel like with Starfall getting delayed, this seemed to be their big one for the kind of first half of this year, and I don't think it's gonna do it, man.
And it's not really helping the narrative that AAA games need to be $70, because so far they have yet to put out a game worth $70.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that there aren't a couple of them, like Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I paid $70 for that, and I'm happy with that.
It came out not broken. Yeah, good story, good single player game.
Was Ragnarok 70?
That's what I was trying to think. I think it was.
I was fairly okay with that game.
Yeah, but everything else, even some Sony games, where it's like, this is not worth $70. We got Tears of the Kingdom coming out.
Right.
And that Nintendo made that 70. And granted, it's a Zelda game, and yes, eventually I'm going to buy it, but I do not have good faith in anyone right now putting out something that's going to work.
Well, and Redfall has kind of the unfortunate 1-2 punch that it's a looter shooter made by a company that doesn't make those, and it's an always online game, even single player. So the pause menu doesn't pause the game, which is just the best and the greatest of all time.
Yeah,
and then if you want to play it multiplayer, your progress doesn't get saved at all. So it's a real bummer. And like I said before, I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a decidedly average experience. I'm sure it's probably better playing with friends, because you can kind of just
suffer together.
Well, and like you can just kind of have fun about like, whatever about the story. We're just gonna shoot some stuff around town. Oh, I found a building we can break into. Do you have any lockpicks and stuff like that? Like, I'm sure that's a cool experience, but
I randomly found a popcorn repair kit that I didn't know we were looking for. That Angel Eye was like, "Oh yeah, we need that for the base." I'm like, I didn't know we were looking for one.
Okay,
but I have it.
It's just, I think you can see the kind of the good game that could be in here somewhere, and it's just there's nothing. That game doesn't exist here at launch, and it's a real bummer. So much of it is so rough, in a way that's really disappointing. So I'm hoping they fix it and they get a chance to turn it around. I mean, we've seen that with plenty of games over the last decade, certainly. It's just, is Microsoft going to let them take the time and money to turn it around is to be seen. So.
Yeah, and we were I was comparing maps in game, and there is a bigger area.
Like a second area.
Yeah, because we were standing there in the firehouse on the second floor. You've got like a mission table, and they've got like papers and pictures and maps all over the place. And we had pulled up our map, and I was just sitting there looking at it. I'm like, man, this can't be all of it, because we've already been, in everywhere. All directions of it. Yeah. And I was looking at the mission table, and there's an actual like map sitting on the mission that you can't interact with or anything. So I'm like walking around the pool table trying to align the in-game map that I have with the map there. And I'm like, oh, yep, that X on the map that we have right now is a tunnel that leads to the rest of the island. Because like they've got like the wards' names and stuff like that on the map on the table. So I'm like, okay, it says that should be like, I forget what it was, but there was like one on like the southern part that we're at. And it's like, okay, it's called this. I pull up my map, zoom in, I'm like, yep, that's what that's called. So if I continue this trail, as Moon knows, I'm a map. So
well, it's one of those things where you you start going. One of the first things you do when you get out of the fire station is there are 2 helicopters that crash, and the game is like, all right, go check out these crashed helicopters, and both of them kind of take you to the extremes of the map, and it's like, really hope this is like the tutorial area of this map, because it is pretty small. So I'm happy to hear that there's at least a little bit something more there.
Yep. So
yeah,
closing thoughts with me. Angel Eye had said that if it was between this and Dying Light 2, he would rather be playing Dying Light 2.
Woof.
And I said if it was between this and Dying Light 2, I would just rather not play video games again. So
right. Yeah, it's a bummer, because I think there's some cool stuff here that could be pretty neat. It didn't come together, and I like I said, I'll keep it installed and I'll check it out as it kind of progresses, and I hope more people check it out, I guess, once the 60 frames patch comes out on PC, because I feel like a lot of people are waiting for that to come out. And hopefully it's kind of in a better spot at that point, I hope.
Yeah, I would definitely say this is not... If you have not bought this game, but you're still interested in checking it out, don't buy it. Just get Game Pass for a month and check it out. If you don't have Game Pass already, either on PC or Xbox. It is not worth the $70, I'll tell you that right now.
And that's one of the things I'm happy about Game Pass, is with the quote unquote coverage this has gotten, especially on Twitter and forums and stuff. If this wasn't on Game Pass, I probably never would have checked this out, because it's in a bad spot.
It's a risky investment.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have spent $70 on this game, because everybody seems to really dislike it. And I'm glad that Game Pass exists, because I can at least try it and say, like, all right, it's not as bad as so many people online are like, Microsoft should just cut Arcane loose and tell them to work on something else. This is a lost cause. Don't spend any more development time in this game. It's like, man, that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Like, yeah, it's not a great launch, but I don't think you should just can the entire thing just because it launched poorly. Like, take the No Man's Sky approach of like, all right, maybe we'll invest some time into this and we'll see if we can kind of recover some of this, and this could be a good turnaround. But I'm glad.
Thankfully, this game did not come with like a battle pass or something, or in-game currency crap. Because if it did, I would just completely write this game off. Yeah,
I'd be done at that point. So I don't think it's that bad. I think it's just boring, like you said, and I think that's kind of the worst part of it, unfortunately. But that's all I've been playing this week. So let's take a break. Faber says, according to VGC, the better the PC, the worse it gets graphically. Oh, well.
Of course.
Have fun. Have fun for me.
Man, I don't know what is going on with like PC ports all of a sudden too. It's like the same thing where it's like all of a sudden everyone has forgotten what a PC is. Just like everyone's forgotten how co-op works.
Right.
Like I'm not, because I don't think it'll ever be 1-to-1 anytime soon. But I mean, these consoles are way closer to PC than they were last gen, and everyone keeps talking about how it's like, oh yeah, there's way less work we have to do on the current gen than we did on the previous gen.
Right.
And yet no one can seem to get them right on either one.
Yeah. I saw someone totally showing their entire ass on Twitter the other day, because someone posted the kind of the thing that I feel about launches like Redfall, where it's like, look, if you're not going to come on consoles with a 60 FPS option, I'm not really interested. I don't want to play, especially a first-person shooter, at 30 frames. I don't think it feels good, and I that's not the option that I want. I want at least, you got your 30 frames, quality setting, and you have your 60 frames performance setting. If you got 120 frames in there, even better. but that's a nice to have and not a requirement. And someone was like, oh, so you expect these new consoles to just have 4K, 60 frames, ray tracing, all this? And it's like, bro, nobody said that. If you got 1080p and 60 frames on these consoles, I'm still pretty happy because it's running at 60 frames. I don't really care.
And I did hear someone say that we are in the midst of, these are the games that started and were worked on in COVID.
Yes, yeah.
But like we've had other games that were also started and done in COVID that have released that haven't hit, failed this hard.
I mean, like, and I fired up Ghostwire Tokyo to start it, and they have like 8 different graphics options. So I picked HFR performance with VSync, and it's running with VSync and great reflections and 120 hertz. I'm like, great. It's not an open world game, to be fair, but like, cool. It would be great.
It's open enough. Yeah.
Right, it's open enough to not be like, here's a hallway in a small building. So like, it's frustrating.
Yeah, but otherwise, it also doesn't help that the industry is a real pain in the ass place to work. So yeah.
Well, and I didn't even realize that it didn't even have like a battle pass or anything in there until you mentioned it. I was like, thank God. I couldn't imagine like the disaster that would have come out.
Yeah, because I mean, just like any other game, that's usually the first thing that they point you to. It's like, hey, for $10, you could get this, and
get this shotgun skin. It's like,
motherfucker, your game doesn't work. I'm not giving you $10.
Your shit's broken. That's right.
Anyway.
Oh, man. All right, are you guys ready for the rest of this?
Yep.
No.
Okay.
What does the dentist get on his 1-year work anniversary?
What does he get?
A little plaque.
God damn it.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Highway cop.
Don't feed into this.
Highway what?
Highway cop.
Highway cop who?
Highway cop in the morning and have a cup of coffee.
I swear to God.
Did I ever tell you how I had a job smashing cans?
No.
It was so depressing.
I hate it.
I've hit the ground harder than those jokes.
I hate it so much.
Well, Boston, you've got another many weeks.
Look, son,
not if the show's canceled. Bye.
Of this. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Episode 1000 can't come fast enough.
That's right. God. Okay. Are we ready now?
Yes.
Yes. Now I'm ready.
Starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about releases for the week of May 8th, 2023. Darkest Dungeon 2 comes out on PC. This is coming out of early access. I believe this is... In early access, it was an Epic Games Store only game. I'm not sure if that's still the case or if it's also coming out on Steam. I haven't been able to find a super firm answer on that. I thought their original plan was early access on Epic Games Store, and then when it comes out on kind of everything. So
the Hades approach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've heard some fairly good things about this game recently, because when it started in early access, everyone was like, boy, this is rough. It's in a bad spot and also not fun. And a lot of the feedback recently has been they've really turned a lot of it around, and it's in a much better spot. So I'm excited to check this out someday when it comes to consoles. Ys 9 Monstrum Nox comes out on PS5. It gets its PS5 native version. Nimp, is this one you liked?
Yes.
Okay.
The only difference between this one and the PS4 version is that it takes the faster loading from the SSD on the PS5.
Great.
That's it. There's no new content.
Okay.
Even the collector's edition was exactly the same as the previous one. The previous release, it's just a PS5 copy of it.
I mean, that's
so
kind
of
all you want.
Yeah, if you haven't played it before, this would be the one to pick up. I mean, the loading times weren't that bad on the PS4 to begin with. But if you already have a PS4 version, you do not need to pick this version up. I say that out loud as I probably
telling
will
yourself
buy
that
a PS5 version to complete
Nimp,
the
you do not
collection
need.
of
That's right. Wait until it's on sale and then pick it up. Yeah.
You're not a true East follower unless you have every version of the same
That's
game
right.
4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Gotta catch them all. Yep. Famous East saying. The Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth comes out on iOS and Android. This is an interesting looking turn-based RPG Lord of the Rings mobile game. So it's also, because it's on mobile, I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of gacha or microtransactions nightmare in there at some point. So, player beware. But, that was surprising when I looked into that. I thought it was going to be something kind of different. Death or Treat comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. This is a 2D action roguelike hack and slash with hand-painted environments and traditional animation that actually looks pretty cool. If you liked kind of the same style that Hollow Knight has, where it's kind of the darker style with some more colorful characters, Death or Treat seems pretty neat. I'd recommend checking out a trailer on that. Looks pretty cool. Somehow I hadn't heard about this game until I checked it out a couple of hours ago and thought, Death or Treat sounds like that's a fun title. That could be pretty neat. Next up, we have Marvel's Midnight Suns coming out for PS4 and Xbox One. They had originally planned to put this out on Switch, but they canceled that version when they announced the PS4 and Xbox One version's release date. So, unsurprisingly, not coming out on the Switch.
It's a really good game, though.
Yeah, really good game. I'm glad to see they're still coming out with these the last gen versions. I don't think anyone would have really faulted them if they were like, we're not doing that. But they just announced another DLC pack. They put out a bunch in the last couple months.
There was 4 of them altogether, and I don't know if this is the 3rd or 4th one. But
it's the 3rd one, I believe.
It sounds like they're all they all give you a character at least, and it sounds like they're all pretty in depth and add quite a bit to like side story stuff.
Yeah, they seem pretty big. They're not just like here's a new character and like one new stage. Yay!
One day I might pick it up. It was just the fact that I had just bought the game, and then the season pass was another, I think it was like $49 if you wanted that for everything. Yeah, I was like, man, I'm not spending like $120 on a game right now.
Yeah, they were like, get the entire collection for $110. I was like, what's wrong with you? No.
But they knew what I wanted because they were like, here's Deadpool. It's like, come on.
Churros or something. Here we go. Yeah. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes out on the Switch. That is a Friday release. Just because people are already foaming at the mouth for this. Nimp, you already mentioned...
the Dragon Quest rule in Japan for this?
Yeah, you gotta...
Yes.
Yeah, the continuing the urban legend for that one. Nimp, it sounds like, based on our Redfall discussion, you're not going to be picking this up day one?
It's kind of dependent on my son. I do not have time right now to play it.
Right.
And my son is currently engaged in the Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, sure. Them. Right.
So
I was about to say, he's a bit young to be engaged, right?
That's right.
No, not when it comes to JRPGs. You got to commit early.
That's right. Or friendship.
The book takes over after the break.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's really up to him because I told him I would let him play first. Either way, because the Switch is currently out in the living room. So I may have a couple things to say, but I did specifically tell him that if he spoils anything for me, I will be taking the Switch.
Right. Snapping in half.
Yeah. So I may have something to say next week. I may not, but I know I'm not going to have time to play it yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to buy this in the short term. I'm really worried about performance.
Yes.
And I know this is the drum we keep beating about the Switch, but it continues to be a bad problem for so many, especially larger releases from Nintendo, which is really disappointing.
Well, Midnight Suns literally just got the Switch version cancelled.
That's right. So, like, actually, indies and third parties have been doing some pretty good work on there. But, like, my concern is that I'm worried that it's gonna just run like trash for $70. Like,
Yeah, they keep doing what the Vita eventually ran into, and the reason why it got killed was they keep punching above what the hardware can do, and then
Yes.
acting surprised when everyone's like, "Why is this not running?"
All right, why does it run at
Well,
20
that-
frames all the time? It's like,
Yeah,
That
Yeah,
was
man.
also before hashtag streaming.
right,
yeah,
right.
Jesus.
That's true. So
But
I don't know.
I
got
do. Yeah, I do really. I am looking forward to this game, and I do really want to play it. And I am super worried that I am going to get something spoiled, and I'm going to be super mad about it.
Yeah.
But I just don't have
Well, I
the
mean,
time right
the
now.
game leaked about 2 weeks ago, so the spoilers
Yeah.
are probably out there like crazy. But
I've
yeah,
been
I'm-
avoiding everything. So
I've got a big trip coming up in about a month, so I might wait until that happens and just take my Switch with me. But I'm
Hey,
Um,
you can always wait for it to go on sale.
that's,
yeah, right.
that's true. Yeah, in about 20 more years.
Yeah, when they resell it to you for
That's right.
$70.
That's right. Yeah. And last game here, Fuga Melodies of Steel 2 comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. This is Game Pass day and date. Look at that.
Yep.
A JRPG
Who
that's
would've
coming
thought
out on Xbox and on Game Pass. What a
I'm still
what a
gonna be
treat.
buying it on PlayStation.
I will.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be downloading on an Xbox and buying it on PlayStation because I want to support them as many ways as
Yeah.
possible. Because, my God, they have no money and they're so small.
My
But-
son replayed. He downloaded Fuga from Game Pass, replayed it, so that way he would have a save file for
There you
when
go.
2 comes out.
Look at this true JRPG
And-
dedication.
And I told him I am still buying it for the PlayStation. It's like when it's coming out on Game Pass, I'm like, I am still buying it on PlayStation
right.
because that's where my save file is.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to this. Probably not going to be able to get a chance to play it in the short term, but man, this game looks great. I really love
Yeah.
the first one. I'm happy that both of them are going to be on Game Pass. I still really recommend them. The first one's a super cool game, so go check it out. Real quick news story here. The only really interesting thing that came out in the news stories this week that isn't doom and gloom or every game is terrible or all of them are delayed and we closed every studio that you love is that the World Video Game Hall of Fame announces its class of 2023 inductees. I don't think we talked about the list of potential games a couple months ago, but the 4 games for this year just got decided, and I really like this list of games a whole lot because I think it covers kind of the full gamut here. The first game is Barbie Fashion Designer, which came out in, I wish I had put the years in here, but I think it came out in the mid to late 90s, and was a hugely influential game on PC, especially for trying to figure out what games for girls are, and kind of trying to. This is well before the Sims really came out and kind of captured that kind of life simulation market, and was one of the first games. Go ahead.
1996.
96.
And
Okay.
boy, do the screenshots look like it.
Yeah, it's very much of its time, but it was also one of the few games that kind of managed to translate a physical thing that you play with into a digital video game. So you can play with your Barbies and all of the stuff, and then you can replicate that sort of thing digitally. So it's nice to see that this game gets a lot of recognition for being so groundbreaking. Next up is Computer Space, released in 1971. You've probably seen this. It's the very large yellow kind of curvy kind of arcade machine looking thing. The guy that they have a quote for here says, quote, "There was no video game industry in 1970," which is a really great way of putting it. And he essentially says, like, look, if you were at like a research lab or a university or something in the 70s, you were playing games because that's where they were. They were like on VAX terminals and BBSs and stuff. But if you weren't one of those people, there weren't video games you could play, and there certainly was no industry. And Computer Space didn't kickstart the industry, to kind of put it bluntly, but it was a very good proof of concept of we can make a video game that everybody can play, and people outside of research labs can play.
Yeah.
I guess needing almost no introduction is the next two ones here. The Last of Us is the first one. 2013's Last of Us, and I guess 2023's Last of Us, and 2020's Last of Us. And sort of, I don't know how much you need to talk about one of the most popular games of like the last 10 years, but recognizing like The Last of Us has been a hugely influential and monumentally popular work, and then sort of also name dropping the wildly successful HBO show at the same time, saying like, hey, they figured out a TV show that was as good as the game was. So that's also of note.
So love it or hate it, it's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the Last of Us games at all, but like I can recognize that they are good video games that people love. So it's one of those things where it's like, how dare you? You can't put this in there. It's like, yeah, it's a popular game for a reason. And lastly, Wii Sports. Probably the most popular game of the last, I don't know how many decades.
Arguably one of the most influential video games of all time.
Yeah. They say with more than 82 million copies sold, Wii Sports is one of the best-selling video games of all time, but its true influence comes from the fact it made gamers out of millions of people around the world who'd never thought about playing one before. It became a gaming phenomenon as news stories proliferated about the game getting diverse groups of people, including those at many senior centers, off their couches and breaking a sweat with virtual bowling, tennis, and more. End quote. I think that's such a perfect encapsulation of, if you haven't played a video game before, or maybe you haven't played a video game in forever, or you don't like them, you were playing Wii Sports. Literally everybody was playing Wii Sports.
Not even to mention the difference it made for quality of life in senior homes, where all of a sudden seniors who were not moving, not exercising, not doing anything, like when the Wii stopped selling, the remotes were still being bought by senior homes because they needed replacements for the ones they had because they were getting used up so much.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really glad they highlighted that here too, because I feel like that was a kind of surprising, in the same way that like Pokemon Go was, where it's like everybody's getting outdoors and everybody's hanging out in the park. Pokemon Go. Yeah. That was very much the same thing with Wii Sports, of like everybody, including your grandma, is playing this same thing, and families are playing it at holidays.
It was like a super simplistic concept with simplistic controls that were easy to figure out and use with anybody.
Yep.
And I mean, it was just a bright, inviting game that had fun music with it. I mean, it was like along the lines of the eShop music, where it's like you just kind of play it in the background of your mind.
And I think you can't understate, because I think we know how big Wii Sports is, but I think you can't understate the strength of motion controls that actually worked, of like, you do the bowling move and it bowls the ball. You swing the thing like a racket and the controller makes a noise and it does the movement. Like, and on top of that, you could have 4 people playing this game at the same time. So it's not just like, oh, we're all going to watch while Jimmy plays this video game with a controller that has 48 buttons on it. Like, it was really kind of the right game at the right time with the right technology, in the way that Nintendo does occasionally. So yeah. So that's a list of 4 really cool games. It's nice to see they kind of captured something from across the entire spectrum of what games really can be. And it's nice to see that they keep coming out with cool picks for the Hall of Fame and have a really interesting backstory about them. I'd like to go to the Strong Museum at some point, because that's where they have a lot of this stuff. But someday.
Where's that located at? You know?
I don't even... Strong...
Is that a random Ohio thing?
Strong Museum of Play in Rochester, New York.
It's in Rochester, New York.
Oh, okay.
Hey, someone
Moon,
lives
what the
there.
heck, man?
If only we knew somebody who might be nearby.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I went to their museum, the website museumofplay.org, and it says the museum will be closed from June 19th to 29th. We're excited for the opening of our expansion on June 30th.
Cool.
So if you're
they have a really sick pinball section. Like, it's just walls of pinball machines, like 2 walls of pinball machines, lights down low, and yes, it is no quarters, tokens only, which
There you go.
have to get outside of the room.
There you go. There is on, I was going to say on May 6th, which is just yesterday, there was a life-size Mario level that they were building for the Hall of Fame celebration. So I guess if you want to go, the Strong Museum of National Museum of Play, museumofplay.org is their website. You can go there and check it out. And how much are tickets? $20. $20 for just a ticket, which is super cheap. So go check that out. All right, that's our episode for this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the website, you know, the site map. Site map from 1994. And don't forget to go.
A flow chart?
Yes, exactly. Open up Excel. We're gonna open up Microsoft Project and do our Gantt chart. I'm sorry if that gave some of you shakes.
We're such nerds.
I know. Don't forget to go check out our YouTube channel. Like we have been mentioning, we do video versions of everything on the public feed, even if we don't do a live stream of it. If you want to watch our live stream, please join us on our Twitch channel. We're live approximately the same time every Sunday for this here very show. You can chat with us and usually get your questions here on the episode itself if you want to join us on the Twitch stream. If you want to support us, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones equals numbers.
Talked about all the cool excessive number of audio episodes you get per month at the top of the show. The $5 a month tier is a recommended one. If you can't support us financially, totally understand. So the best way to support us is by telling your friends, sharing on social media, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I know that's a meme, but that stuff actually does genuinely help. And checking us out wherever your podcatcher is. Rating us the maximum number of stars or more in whatever store or podcatcher you listen to us in. If you're thinking about, like, hey, I have a problem with this show, I'm going to give them a less than perfect score. Just don't. Just yell out your window and say, like, TVGP sucks. I hate him. And then, like, stop listening. With your life. Maybe. Yeah, like, move on with your life. Stop listening, maybe. You don't have to listen to our show. But if you do, I genuinely appreciate that you are spending your time with us and hanging out with us every week. And I hope we'll see you all next week. Bye.
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 Okay, Nimp. What are your titles?
I've only got 3, but first I wanted to say I completely got sidetracked looking at their admission tickets.
You look like you were researching something over there.
Dude, museum admission, they have a low-rise rope course and a high-rise rope course. They have a butterfly garden.
Oh.
There's like all kinds of stuff. They apparently have like a section of Sesame Street there.
Okay.
So, I mean, I might have to travel out there just to
seems like
check some stuff out. Anyway.
Dude, the Strong is sick. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, the Strong is absolutely amazing.
Well, I mean, looking at the building pictures of it, the building looks cool.
Yeah, it's a cool building.
Cool as hell.
Yeah.
On my trips across the country next month, I am not going to be close enough to take a detour for that, unfortunately.
It's only 12 hours. What are you doing with your life?
Drive into the 4 corners of the U.S.
Yeah. Anyway, I've only got 3 titles. They are You Should Not Be a 4-6, The Shuri Problem, and The Force is a Meter.
All right, Moon, what do you have?
Swimming Through Vaseline, The Shuri Problem, D-Bag Deck, If You Know, You Know, The Place with the Beam, Something, Some Force, Its Own Kind of Disturbing, Is It Blitzball, It Exists, and A Risky Investment.
I like Is It Blitzball. I have It's a Reverse Intervention, The Shuri Problem, and Is It Blitzball.
I mean, I think it's the Shuri Problem, right?
I mean, that got on all three of our lists, so probably.
Oh, yeah.
So, what is the Shuri Problem?
The actress who plays Shuri in the Black Panther movies basically caused a whole bunch of delays and issues by refusing to get vaccinated during peak COVID.
Yeah.
Like, everywhere was locked down, everywhere was on hold, everyone was wearing masks, nobody was allowed to work unless they were vaccinated, and she basically kicked up a giant fuss about it.
And what's the Shuri problem in Marvel Snap?
She was way too strong.
Okay.
She was, again, the Force holding things back.
Ironically enough, she doubled the power of cards of any card played in any location. Now she's been patched, so it's only cards played at her location, so you know where that card is going to go. But it's almost like she doubled down on the problem.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. I too like sandwiches.
Never had one.
A
sandwich. That's all. I went my entire life without having a sandwich. I don't know how I did
I'm a burrito guy. Thank you very much.
I think you'll find that the place I prefer to get my bread-based cuisine from is Art, because I get it from Subway.
That's true.
I was going to say, is it the same place you get soup sandwiches from?
That's right.
I only
want a sandwich crafted by artists. Thank you. What were you talking about?
We're trying to come up with titles. I have no clue what.
Just take a little quick detour into Foodcast. No worries. Also, the number of people that have sent Foodcast questions in for our mailbag episodes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's been very good.
Dude, I need advance warning because I'm so hungry right now because I've barely eaten today because Sunday is a chore day. Like doing this show. Hey-o!
I hate my friends. Hey-o!
I was going to ask, is there anything that I have to research ahead of time? Like, is someone asking me what different types of marzipan I enjoy?
Make sure I eat. That's my main thing, is make sure I eat.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know if we, as we get closer to needing to schedule that, if we need to talk about some of those beforehand. Anywho. Anyway, Borderlands.
Okay, I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 811 for May 8th, 2023. The Shuri Problem.
Can't replace a Chad.
You guys should really check out the Strong Museum website. They got a lot of cool things going on right now.
I have to put the Museum of Play website in the show notes this week. Give them a little boost here.
It's so sick. Like, I've been
got
like
a sky climb.
times.
Did you guys see the pictures of the sky climb?
Head over to the museumofplay.org to check out the sky climbs. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
100 years of Madame Alexander dolls.
I swear to